Oh, okay, we're doing to another episode of On the Roast from Off the Cuff. Today we have a cool kind of preview for you guys from the brand Fanos. Now, basically, that is a term of a Greek and Egyptian origin, and which literally translates into lantern or a guiding light. Now, this is an upstart micro brand coming to Kickstarter, founded by a self-proclaimed watch geek and enthusiast with a passion for divers. Now, a little bit about this type of watch. I'm sure you can tell we'd consider this a dive watch. Some key common characteristics and design language when you're looking for a diver. Of course, you're going to want water resistance, typically through some type of screw down crown. You're going to want something that's tough, legible with a dive time bezel, and a diver's extension is always nice if on bracelet. Now, this is their kind of debut model, the Osimiri. And essentially, this diver will launch in 2021. So that's this year, depending on when you're watching this. And it's definitely a clear homage to the Tudor Pelagos, without being a direct carbon copy. So they've definitely gone out of their way to kind of emulate the Tudor Pelagos, but also they've gone out of their way to not directly copy any particular detail. It's one of those things where you kind of blur your eyes and it looks very much like it. But ultimately it doesn't have anything that it's directly lifted from that particular model. Now, in terms of the pricing on this one, I do not know because it's still to be determined. So definitely check the links in the description below to find out more details from that standpoint. But let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, take a closer look, get this piece in hand, and just give it a nice once over. All right, guys, so as you can see, definitely a very nice look, and the nice thing about this is you're actually getting a lot of features from the Tudor Pelagos, not just looks wise. So sure, specs wise, it's pretty close. 42 millimeter diameter, 14.2 millimeter height, 50 millimeter lug to lug, but you're also getting a full titanium watch that has a 900 HV hardened titanium, which is great, and it's basically, you know, fully brushed, and you do also get an integrated helium escape valve there kind of at the 9 o'clock, which I think is great. Also on this crystal, you're going to get sapphire. It's a single dome, so there is going to be some you are going to catch, as you can see right there, some distortion when you have it at extreme angle, but it does give you about 3 layers of AR coating. You're getting 120 click unidirectional bezel. Ooh, it's very nice. A little bit of play, back play, as you can see. Look at that. But this action is immaculate, and the touch point of this coin bezel is really, really dialed in. Very, very nice. Ooh. Yeah. And, you know, and the nice thing is as you back it up onto the click, it aligns perfectly. That's kind of what I hope for in terms of when you do have something that does have any type of bezel play. As long as when you back it up to a solid stop, it aligns, then I'm happy. So, hey, kudos to them for getting this pre-production prototype nicely dialed in. Also, you are getting a screw down crown, which is signed and also loomed, interestingly enough. And you can see, again, you can recognize that kind of profile. Definitely quite Tudor-esque. I'm actually really surprised that they're also giving you, you know, this is cool, man. It's a hardened titanium. This is not a super high-end bracelet, though, guys. I mean, when you look at this, it's just kind of engraved to look like a full 3-link. As you can see on the inside, it's just a single link kind of Y shape, as you can see back here. It is held together by push pins. Of course, this is pre-production, so they could make some big improvements, so definitely follow, again, those links there. The pretty standard double locking push button clasp there, stamped. Nothing special. You do have that nice solid case back, very reminiscent again of Tudor. and Rolex in general, but everything is solid, shading solid end links, solid links. You know, these aren't hollow or anything like that. They're just not fully articulated, full 3 links. They're just kind of faux 3 links, which isn't the greatest. But again, dude, this thing's titanium and it feels really good. Also, the movement that's inside here, Swiss ETA 2824, guys. So that's something that actually came in the real Pelagos in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, you're getting a lot of those features, which is pretty nuts. Of course, you get that engraved ceramic bezel insert. Also, so again, it's really, when you look on paper, hey, it's titanium, ceramic, sapphire, ETA. There's a lot to love there, honestly. Even if you're not a big fan of the look, and if you are a fan of the look, this is probably one of the most well-spec'd watches that really achieve this look. And I'm assuming it's going to be pretty cheap, because if anything, that's pretty much goes on to Kickstarter, there's going to be insane deals, especially for the early adopters. I'm sure the full retail, I imagine, is going to be more expensive, but for those of you that do purchase this kind of pre-order and you know, anybody that funds this, and from those standpoints, I'm sure you're going to be getting some type of screaming deal. That's just the way it works out. Looking at the dial, it is matte black. You get this kind of cool 3D sloped chapter ring with relief cutouts for the applied indices. Again, very Tudor Pelagos-like, without being an exact copy, because it doesn't have the snowflake layout. You know, they kind of rounded everything off. So one thing there, and some of you might like that. Some of you might prefer that more. Another nice thing is you get the date at 6 o'clock, so it doesn't really mess with your legibility or your balance, or you know, just how clean and symmetrical the dial is, which is nice. You're also getting BGW9, so super luminova, again, very Tudor-like. And the water resistance is, guess what? 50 atmospheres or 500 meters. Again, very Tudor-like, so pretty crazy. 22 millimeter lugs. Again, the 3-link look bracelet, tapering down to a 20 millimeter buckle, push pin connectors. So, I mean, it's not too much to say, but what I will do is I'll let you guys take a look. Look at that bevel. That is pretty sharp, guys. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, the definition on that is pretty sweet, considering. Look at the way the light plays on that. And there's no high polish contrast. Let me give it a quick little wipe. It's giving you some, oh man, of course I knocked the bezel over a little, but now you get to listen to it again. That's beautiful action, guys. Sure, there's back play, but the action is immaculate. Look at the finishing on that helium escape valve. Really beautifully done tolerances. Digging those bevels. Again, bracelet, nothing to write home about, but they do have like an integrated rubber strap option as well, so that's always there for you. But I think this thing is pretty sweet on bracelet. But let me go ahead, get it on wrist, and kind of show you guys how it wears. Okay, guys, as you can see on my 7¼ inch wrist, it wears like a full-size diver should wear. It's big, it's bold, clean, classic. Yeah, you might have a little trouble getting that. Actually, you know what? It has a nice little slope to it. I think this will probably be fine for most. I mean, I guess depending on how tight you wear your long sleeve shirts, most cuffs should be, you know, this should be still doable, just because of the general ergonomics there. Very clean. Of course, it is a bit large, but I think it's more so the boldness and the kind of high impact aesthetic. It's not necessarily like an oversized watch. It's just they haven't done anything to shrink it. There are no design cues about this watch that shrink down the size of it. I mean, apart from maybe you could say that beveling, but it has no under beveling. It has a big side slab. It has a very, you know, kind of plain finish to it, so it's not playing with light in any special way, which generally is making it appear quite flat, which is probably making it seem a little bit bigger. The nice thing is it's super legible. My goodness, you cannot argue with the legibility. It does taper and kind of wrap the wrist really well. Really digging that. Again, as you take a look at it, really, this is quite comfortable. The nice thing is that it is, yeah, I mean, it has those proportions. It feels very tooly and substantial without feeling really overly light, which is nice. And a lot of that does have to do with the use of titanium there. So with that, let's go ahead, set up some loom shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. All right, we'll go ahead and hit the lights here. Oh, yowza. As you can see, that BGW9 is crisp. So it is definitely, again, you're getting 500 meters of water resistance, full titanium setup, Swiss movement, sapphire crystal. You're hitting a lot of those boxes. You know, the loomed ceramic insert there. You're getting a lot of those Pelagos qualities, but thankfully not paying necessarily the Pelagos prices, especially if maybe the Tudor Pelagos isn't your favorite looking watch, or maybe it's just a little bit large, but you still dig the aesthetic, or you dig the specs, the spec sheet, and kind of what the use case has to offer. Now you can get something similar, you know, and just for a lot less. So that's nice. But one of the things I like to do here, instead of just flat out loom shots, is really work in some low light transition, so you guys can get an idea of how this watch is going to look in less than optimal lighting, because oftentimes, you know, you're not going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. You might just be walking underneath an overhang, underneath the shade of a tree, or maybe spending time in your favorite vehicle. So it's really important to kind of get an idea of how these finishes render in less than optimal lighting. As you can see, I can get down with some really high contrast stuff that should be exposing any of those imperfections. As you can see, as the light glides, pretty nicely uniform across that bracelet brushing, so pretty impressive from that standpoint. Then you look at the dial and kind of the stepped nature of it, and also this crystal and the way that it negotiates direct reflections, so very nice. And you can see that the way this matte dial will hold the light, it almost can turn into a very nice kind of anthracite gray. Then it spends a lot of its time just being blacked out. So very, very nice from that standpoint, guys. Closing thoughts on the wrist, very Pelagos-like proportions. It is definitely tooly and substantial without feeling super hefty, and that a lot of that, I'm sure, is due to the use of titanium. Now, as far as model variations go, definitely check the links for updates. Comparable models, guys, extremely competitive market when you're thinking about micro brand divers. And you know, when I think about it, there aren't really too many options that are this heavily inspired by the Pelagos, which is surprising because I think it's pretty universally accepted that the Tudor Pelagos is an amazing watch. But maybe it's just not for everybody's wrists or everybody's, you know, budget. And here you're getting a couple of different options to maybe spend a little bit less and maybe kind of see how you do enjoy a watch of this scale and kind of use case. So I'd say, guys, bottom line here is, with a combination of clean aesthetics and high specs, the Osimiri could easily become the go-to choice for anyone searching for an affordable Pelagos alternative. Again, an affordable alternative. I don't by any means think that this watch is going to outdo the Tudor in any way, even the early models that were packing ETAs. But I will say that this thing hits a lot of those marks. It gives you a very similar feel as a user and as a just functional piece of diving machinery. This is going to give you 98% of what the Tudor will give you in terms of just a functional tool. It's really going to be in those kind of fine finishings that honestly can get lost on a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But not everybody's looking for the end all be all in dive watches. Some people collect a bunch, wear a bunch, and sometimes they don't even go swimming with them. So who knows what this one will end up being used for as it continues to travel and do the rounds. But for me, I think it definitely gave me and instilled me with that kind of vibe of taking it out for a spin, getting it wet. It really is just begging to be used as a really great functional timepiece. So with that said, let me know if you guys liked the video. Please hit like in that case. And honestly, yeah, comment. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you haven't already, definitely subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.